Hey, how's it going? In today's video, we are going to be talking about the top 5 mistakes that you can make as a first-time homebuyer. The first mistake that you do not want to make is not vetting your lender or your realtor. Okay, when it comes to getting into this industry and wanting to buy a house, you need to understand that you're literally swimming in a pool full of sharks. And not only will the sharks bite you, they also have their black belt, so they can bite you hard. Okay, now the one thing you can do to help yourself in this situation is this: if you have a foundation of knowledge, you are right off the bat going to be able to understand the different mechanics that go into the home buying process. Like, we are literally talking about searching up how to buy a house, having some basic understanding, like what is a loan, what is a realtor, what is the job of a loan officer, what is the job of a realtor. Because let me tell you one thing, loan officers and also realtors, I'm sorry to tell you this, but they are salesmen, and they are literally there to sell you in terms of either A, buying a loan with a loan officer, or B, buying a house with a realtor. So if you can just go ahead, understand some of the main principles, you're going to be able to pass a lot of the sniff tests in terms of the potential downsides that you can occur when it comes to talking to either a lender or a realtor. Now, on top of that, when you have your foundation of knowledge, if things don't align with what you understand, you need to make sure that there is no stone left unturned. Because if you have a question, you need to make sure you ask that question and that question is answered thoroughly and concisely. Because let me tell you one thing, this industry is very, very impactful, because we're not talking about a measly 2 to 3, even 4-figure loan. We're talking about a 6 to potentially even 7-figure loan. And on top of that, paying a loan is one thing. The next thing is how much are you going to be paying over the life of the loan, because you are definitely going to be paying 7 figures. And a lot of it is going to be going towards the interest of the loan. So make sure you ask your questions, make sure that every stone is left turned over and there's no undecisive or unknowns when it comes to going into the home buying process. So mistake number 1, make sure you vet your realtor and also your lender, because basically those two people are going to be the ones that drastically influence how your home buying process is going to be. Okay, for the second mistake that I see a lot, and this actually goes hand in hand with the first mistake with vetting your realtors and lenders. You do not want to go into contract right away. I'm telling you, you do not want to go into contract right away. One thing that is unfortunately practiced in this industry is usually when someone is interested in buying a house, they go to the realtor right away. And usually that's fine. You can go to a realtor if you have all cash to buy a house. However, if you don't have all cash to buy the house right then and there, you need to make sure you at least talk to a lender and see how much you are pre-qualified for in terms of buying the house. But even then, there are going to be two things that happens when you talk to a lender. You are going to either get a pre-qualification or pre-approval. Now, a pre-qualification is not a full-blown approval from the bank saying that you could get this money for the house. A pre-qualification is just saying, it's like, we really didn't check any documents and we think you're going to get a house. However, when you get a pre-approval, the bank has already taken a look at your finances. They've checked your credit score, your assets, your income. They calculated everything, and they give you a certain amount of money that they are willing to say there's a high likelihood of you getting this loan. Now, that there is a huge difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification. Now, one common bad thing that happens in this industry is that there are people who get into contract without a pre-approval. They go into contract with only a pre-qualification. So by the time they are locked into a contract and they put their earnest money, they are still not too sure if they are eligible for the financing of the home. Even with my clients, I will get them the full-blown approval. And even then, I still suggest to get the option period, because things are not 100%. You just want to make sure you are safe. You understand everything when it comes to the home buying process, and just don't get into contract early. I'm telling you, get a pre-approval, get a number value in terms of the home value you can potentially get, start looking for houses, and compare and contrast your different options, and make sure you understand all the things that go behind, first of all, getting a loan for the house, and then also the home buying process. Okay. So for the third mistake, one thing that I've noticed a lot is when you're looking to buy a house, you need to make sure you identify a main purpose for buying a house. Okay. I'm sorry to tell you this, but usually there's only 2 reasons why you buy a house. You either are trying to make money, or you are trying to find a house to live in. That's why there's primary residences, and that's why there's also investment properties. Now, once you identify your main purpose of buying a house, that purpose is going to be super pivotal in the future when you're going through the home buying process. You're submitting documents, you're signing documents. that purpose is going to be something you're going to be able to refer back on initially and make sure that what you are doing is aligned with what you are doing in the current moment. So you want to make sure that there is cohesiveness between what your main purpose is and what you're currently doing now, because the home buying process does take a long time. We are talking about years of, first of all, building your credit, saving money and everything, okay? So you need to make sure that your main purpose of buying a house is still the same, or maybe it's not the same and you need to redefine your purpose, and then you need to readjust your intentions and actions that you need to do when it comes to buying a house. So make sure you have a purpose. Make sure you understand what your main incentive of buying a house is. Am I trying to live in this house? Am I trying to buy this house as an investment property? There are some times when you can do both. However, I will say that things do get a little bit more lucrative when it comes to being able to live in a house and also using the house as an investment property. Now, before I go into the fourth mistake, if you could please do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe and leave a comment on what you also think is a mistake that you could make in real estate, because trust me, there are a lot of mistakes, and the more that you can put, the more that people are aware of, the less mistakes that these people can make, and everyone's going to be happy in a prolonged period of time. Now, for the fourth mistake, and this fourth mistake actually kind of ties in with the third mistake of not defining your main purpose. For the fourth mistake, you need to make sure that you get your emotions, you put them in a nice little box, and you set them aside. Because I will tell you, buying a house is super, and I mean super intimidating. Because look, I'm a professional when it comes to doing loans and investing in real estate. And even for myself, I even get a little bit scared when I apply for a credit card. So I could only imagine how a first-time home buyer is going to be when it comes to buying a house. So that is why when it comes to the emotions, you need to do your best ability, be able to regulate them, and just try to do things very rationally, okay? Because look, there's going to be external pressure. There's going to be pressure from the seller's realtor. There's going to be pressure from your realtor. There's going to be pressure from your loan officer. There's literally going to be pressure from even your family, okay? And then on top of that, we are talking about money, serious money. We are talking about maybe a 4 to 5 figure down payments, 6 figures sometimes. And we are talking about a 5 to 6 figure loan amount, okay? So these things are very, very intimidating, and you need to do your best to regulate these emotions. However, the good thing is, once you can regulate your emotions and you focus on the rationality in terms of being able to buy a house, this actually makes things very cut and dry. What's worth it in terms of buying a house? Okay, I have this house that I want to buy. Is this home payment going to be reasonable for how much money that I make? Okay, because what the lender can lend you is different from what you could afford comfortably, because lenders, it is in the lender's best interest to lend you as much as they could. However, how much a lender could lend you is different in terms of how much you would be able to afford a house comfortably. For example, let's say you want to buy a $200,000 house and the mortgage payment ends up being around $2,000, and that's the maximum amount that the lender is willing to give you, okay? However, if we take a look at your finances, you notice that you only make really $4,000 of gross income. So what ends up happening is we also need to consider the taxes on your income, also the utilities of the house, and there's just basically a whole bunch of things that go into being able to afford a house. However, if you are able to stick towards a rational aspect in terms of being able to isolate different problems and compare and contrasting the different solutions, you're going to be able to be much better because you were able to address your emotions, put them off to the side, and do things very rationally and make sure that things are all okay. Okay, now to finish off on our last point. When you are buying a house, you need to understand this. This is not going to be your forever home. And I guarantee you, this is not going to be the only opportunity that you're going to be able to buy a house in your lifetime. One common mistake that a lot of first-time homebuyers make is they think that the house that you're looking at is going to be the forever home and they're going to be locked in there for 30 years. No, there are multiple things that you can do when it comes to owning a house. Once you own the home, you can either A, rent out the house, you could sell the house. There's so many different things that you can do to address potential scenarios. And over the long period of time, hopefully your income increases, which also increases your ability to buy different houses, maybe even invest in real estate. The first home that you buy is not going to be a forever home. Just know that. So hopefully that relieves some pressure off of your shoulders. And yeah, I hope you can buy a house and everything goes well. If you're interested in buying a house, refinancing your house, or even selling a home, please feel free to reach out to me via phone or email. Other than that, have a great rest of your day.